All right, well, let's first start looking at the map and then we bring in the images. I'm just pointing out all of the air bases which we are looking at. Noor Khan right next to Islamabad itself, Sargodha, Rahim Yar Khan, Sukur, Jacobabad and Bholari over here. But let's bring up the first set of images which we have of Jacobabad. And what we are doing is showing you this particular area. We marked it out. This is a before image where you can see this hangar entirely intact, the image from the 30th of April, this image from the 11th of April, which as you can see over here, shows this hangar completely destroyed. But let's bring you more details, a full close-up of that image. And here you can see the hangar destroyed and debris as well. This would likely be a BrahMos or a Scalp missile which took this out. Remember, these are some of Pakistan's main air bases. Essentially, all of them have been hit. Let's move now to an image from Bholari. Again, this is a before image from the 27th of April 2025. Look at the hangar, it is intact over here. On the next image, on the 11th of May 2025, the hangar is completely destroyed. Let's move to a full frame image of this and describe the damage. And this is perhaps the most vivid image, high resolution satellite imagery that NDTV has acquired of this particular hangar. It shows that the entire part of this roof has been destroyed. There is debris on all sides. If there are aircraft inside this, and at this juncture we don't know if there were, then those would most certainly have been destroyed. This is a major strike. Let's go to Sukur at this stage. This is believed to be a UAV site. This is an image from the 3rd of May. This particular structure intact, but over here, this structure has been attacked. So the image from the 10th of May shows it being attacked. Let's bring you details of that. Let's zoom in now to the next image. This is that same structure which shows severe structural damage, possible burn and strike scars in this particular area. And then look at the vegetation over here. This is all black. This entire area is all black because there has been a substantial fire in this area and debris all across. So this has been entirely leveled. It has been completely flattened, this particular area. Let's now go to Noor Khan Air Force Base. This is one of the primary Air Force Base, April 25th, 2025. Focus on this box over here. And I'll take a look at what's happened on the 10th of May over here when you see this, several buildings, in fact, 2 of them have been destroyed. I'll come back over here for a moment. If you see these 2 buildings over here, right? Zoom into this image over here. These 2 buildings right over here, 1 and 2. This is the before image. And they are completely gone in this after image, right? In this after image over here, they are completely destroyed. Now let's bring up the full frame image and you'll see multiple buildings destroyed in this particular area. Let's move to a couple of runway strikes, which are the next set of images. This from the Mushaf Air Base in Sargodha. This is the before image on the 30th of April. And here India has cratered that runway. By cratering a runway, you're making it inoperational for use. The Pakistan Air Force at some stage realized that they would be grounded. They came to the ceasefire table. Let's bring you another image of this runway, which has been cratered over here. This is in Mushaf in Sargodha. But there is another very important Air Force base. That's the Rahim Yar Khan Air Force Base, which has also had a very, very precise hit. We'll come to that in a moment. But before that, one more image over here in Mushaf in this cross taxiway that you can see. So by actually getting a strike into this area, you're preventing aircraft from moving all across the Air Force Base. And finally, let's move across, as I mentioned, to the Rahim Yar Khan base. This is a before image on the 10th of May. On the same day, before the strikes took place, this is one image, and this is after the strike took place. This has been cratered, and now we've actually got video of this particular area. Let's play out that video showing the strike over there because you get a clear idea of just how deep it is. The satellite imagery doesn't show the depth, but that is what has taken place at Rahim Yar. So let me actually go across at this stage to my colleague Shiv Arur as well. So Shiv, we've run through this very high-resolution satellite imagery. Let's talk a little bit about that. Let's bring up some of the imagery which we have on these strikes which have taken place. Let's talk about Jacobabad and let's talk about hangars first. We don't know what was inside the hangars, Shiv, but if there were aircraft, and the chances were there would have been some, they would have been entirely destroyed.
Vishnu, first of all, fantastic scooping these first high-resolution images from Maxar of battle damage. I don't think anyone has seen this kind of battle damage in this kind of jaw-dropping clarity. And I'm tempted to, right at the outset, say that comparing this with 2019, when the system was scrambling for battle damage imagery to prove what India knows it had done in Balakot at that Jaish-e-Mohammed site. Contrast that with this, Vishnu, and you've got, I don't even know what resolution this is. You can go down to a couple of meters, I think. You can see the details of the debris. You're right, we don't know what aircraft were inside, but I think it's safe to assume that quite a few aircraft may have been destroyed in these attacks, whether it is, Mushaf or Jacobabad or the others, the cratering of the runways. This clarity is very, very arresting. Take us through some of the highlights to you, Vishnu. This
is the highlight which we've got.
Some of the battle damage images capture much more.
This is the most unreal battle damage imagery, and Shiv, I've made it a big part of my career over the last several years to focus on satellite imagery, because when it comes to wars and conflict, you get so much more which you don't otherwise get. So this is Sukur, for example. Let's bring in and stay on this image if we can for a moment. This entire structure is believed to be a UAV base. That's entirely leveled. It's complete, huge structural damage. But look over here. This entire area shows vegetation burn. There's been a substantial fire over here on this side of the screen. If we go one image before that and have the before and after image, if we can just have the previous image which shows the before and after, you will see that this entire area is normal in the previous image, but over here there's been a large fire. We don't have that up right now, but let's keep moving with these images and start talking about them. All right, this is Noor Khan. This is the before image itself of Noor Khan Air Base. This is one of the primary Air Force bases very close to the Pakistani hub. And take a look over here of this area which has been completely destroyed, at least 2 buildings destroyed. This is very close to the Pakistani Army headquarters. Shiv, let's talk a little bit about this. The fact that we were able to strike in the Rawalpindi area, the fact that, right at the heart of the Pakistani military establishment, we went and did this. What is the message which is being said?
The message being said is, what the Prime Minister said at Adampur just a few minutes ago, earlier this morning actually, Vishnu, which is that no matter what the target, we will not distinguish between terrorists and their sponsors. And the missiles that have rained down at these 12 bases basically shows, he's not talking out of his hat. He's talking about something that has literally been executed just 72 hours before he made that speech. But Vishnu, I want to throw it back to you for a moment because, first of all, in tribute to the fact that you've scrutinized these images so closely, people are wildly curious about the entire nuclear angle. The Air Force has confirmed, they said we have not hit anything nuclear. The presumption is they were not even aiming for it, but there's a huge amount of curiosity about where this nuclear stuff is vis-a-vis these targets that have been attacked. Can you throw some light on that, Vishnu?
Well, the Kirana Hills is located in the Rawalpindi area, and the fact is that yesterday when we did ask, or when a journalist did ask the Air Marshal whether they had been hit, he had a huge smile on his face, and then he went on to add that no, in fact, we didn't cross that red line. But I think the smile on his face earlier on perhaps said a few things, but on record, India has not done that because, let's face it, it would cross a huge red line. We're not looking to get at each other's strategic assets right now. So we will give him the benefit of doubt at this juncture, but there is some fairly vivid imagery which has come in, video which has come in. But, I think, and this is my final point, Shiv, and let's keep circling this. I want to actually focus a little bit on the hits which have taken place on the runways, because that essentially made the Pakistan Air Force inoperational. And for example, this is Mushaf in Sargodha. This is a primary facility of theirs. They've got several fighter aircraft deployed. The fact that you've got a runway cratered here, we've had pictures of runways cratered elsewhere at Sargodha, also at Rahim Yar Khan. At some stage, the Pakistanis would have realized that if this is what was going to go on, they would run out of air bases. And I think the key point over here, Shiv, is that we only used very few missiles at each of these bases. This was not a mass attack. These were precision attacks. The fact that the BrahMos, the Scalp went through, if we had launched 10 more at each base, it would have meant that these bases would have been entirely inoperational.
And we know for a fact, Vishnu, you and I, that those missiles were primed and ready, to conduct follow-on strikes at those bases. If Pakistan hadn't sort of stepped forward and asked for that ceasefire, because it looked like Each of those strikes basically pinned them down. Most of them were devastatingly inaccurate. A couple of missiles here and there may have overshot. We don't know that for sure. We might get to know about that later, like places like Rafiki, etc. But I think what as far as the military objective was concerned, was to make a statement, but also hit materially what that base could do and put it out of circulation for at least a short while, seriously compromising the Pakistan Air Force's ability to mount some kind of a credible mass retaliation at that point of time. And that, Vishnu, I'm thinking, must have been the tipping point.